I just want to briefly say something about His Excellency the President, because perhaps better than anybody else who is here, I am the one who knows him best. And what I would like to say, the issues raised by Mr. Mbaru and Mr. Munga are very pertinent. Stability is a very important factor in selecting a presidential candidate to lead your country. Predictability is also very important. What perhaps they should have added, which I think is extremely important, is reliability. What I can say about His Excellency the President, he has had a very long and distinguished career. In fact, I can say he's the longest serving member of Parliament currently in Kenya. He became a member of Parliament in 1963. I was born in 1962, so he has been a member of Parliament all my life. I have not known him to be interested in doing anything else for those 45 years, except his only interest has really just to serve Kenyans. And really, I cannot think of any other person who has been more stable, more committed, more predictable, and more reliable. What I would like to add, and perhaps maybe I'll just, share something with you. When I was younger, when I was a young girl, and I started school, people used to ask me, what do your parents do? You know how children ask each other. And I would also ask my friends the same questions. They would tell me, oh, my father is a teacher. Another one would say, my mother is a lawyer. Another one would say, her father is a doctor. And all those were things that I understood, because when you get sick, you go to a doctor. When you're in school, you're taught by your teachers. When you know people are in trouble with the law, they have a lawyer. But I never understood what it is to be a member of Parliament, and neither did the other children. So when I tell them my father is a member of Parliament, they'd say, huh? What's that? Because it was not something that we were taught in school to serve people. We were always being told to aspire to be this, either a doctor or to be a lawyer or something, an engineer. But we were never told that you can actually be professionally a politician and serve people. Later, in my year, as I grew up, I came to then understand what His Excellency the President did, because we always had visitors at home. First of all, before he became the member for Othaya, he was a member of Parliament in Nairobi for what is now called Makadara constituency for almost 10 years, from 1963 until 1974. And people would always come home. They always looked somehow needy. All I knew is that we were always constantly preparing tea or meals. But somehow when they left, they didn't look as needy as when they came, because he would assist them with their problems, if they had medical problems or someone in the family was unwell. He would help them by taking them to the hospital and even paying their hospital bills. If they needed school fees and they were looking anxious because their children were going to be kicked out of school, he would pay their school fees. And so I came to understand about his passion for wanting to help people. And we came to appreciate what he does because of the smiles that the people would leave home with, our home with, because they have found somebody to be able to help them. And now, as I look around Kenya and even around this room, I see a lot of smiles of happiness, people with satisfaction, because he's been consistent in doing these things over the years. And it's just that there was some small interruption somewhere between 1963 and 2007, that sort of made people walk around with frowns and with their shoulders hunched up like this. But when he came back in 2003, he continued doing the things he was doing when he was in the government up to 1992. And then he spent 10 years in the opposition. And he just continued as if there had been no interruption at all in his service to Kenyans. And things got even better, because all the things he had imagined way back in 1963, the way he had perceived Kenya moving, he was now in the driver's seat. And he could steer that country, our country, in the direction he wanted it to go. And this is why continuity is important. Because you cannot, you're all drivers, you know you cannot leave the steering wheel of the vehicle when it is still moving and get out, because what will happen to the car? It will crash. So the driver has to remain in the driver's seat. So mine is really very simple. It's really just to ask you to explain to Kenyans, when you're talking to Kenyans at home, tell them the things that we are seeing. They are not myths, the changes that are taking place. They're actually a reality. And this is why we love our president, particularly us women, because we like men who say, I'm going to do this, and they do it. Yeah? If he said in 2003, in December 2002, he said there shall be free primary education. And I remember those in the government at that time said, it can never happen. Where are you going to get the money? And in January, after he was sworn in, children went to school. Nobody was turned away because they did not have school fees. It happened. Where did the money come from? He closed all the loopholes, or 98% of them, where money was getting lost because of corruption. He said, I am going to fight corruption. The economy will improve. And by the time I'm finishing my first term, there shall be free secondary education. You'll not have to pay for tuition fee. Maybe if you go to boarding, you'll pay for boarding facilities. And what is going to happen in January 2008? There's going to be free secondary education. He said in 2003, I am going to put medicines back in the hospital. You shall have mattresses and bed sheets on public hospital beds. It has happened. He told milk farmers, your prices for milk will increase from 8 shillings to 21 shillings. It has happened. So much has happened. People complain in Nairobi. They say, oh, we pay so much for electricity. It's, it's getting very expensive. But why? Because those of us who live in the city are paying for rural electrification. Now, if you drive around the whole countryside in Nairobi, you find Kenya Power has brought the electricity poles, and they're lying on the ground for lack of enough contractors to put them up. Every single corner of this country is going to have electricity by the end of this year. In fact, those of you who follow the media closely, you'll see that even Kenya Power itself is asking Kenyans, can you call us and tell us where you have spotted the nearest electricity pole or transformer, and we'll come and connect you. They've even removed the connection fee and brought on board in the last 6 months 600,000 new customers. And that is how fast the economy is growing. These are just a few examples, but we must talk about them. You must, when you speak to your families at home and to other Kenyans here in Europe, ask them also to tell their people at home. It is not so much what is going to be done, but who is in the driver's seat so that it gets done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.